Hey y'all, I'm back. Sorry it's taken so long to do another video on this bike. As you can see, it probably looks a little bit different than the past two videos I've done. Uh, the first one I did right after I got it, and then the second video I did after I put 7,000 miles on it. I'm going to see if my math is correct. I got this thing with 9,000 miles, and now it has 32,681, so I'm not going to do math in public. But anyway, so I've put 20 something thousand miles on it. You have to excuse me. Math's not the best, but anyway, that's besides the point. So what I want to do is go over this bike again and just share with you some things that I've learned about it over the past year and a half of riding it. And I've been all over the place with it. Went to the Ozarks twice, and I mean I use this thing pretty much every day, and it's not nearly as clean as what it used to be. I've kind of learned that, you know, a clean GS is a dirty shame. I saw a bumper sticker that had that on it, and anyway, so let me start with the positives, and then the negatives, and then the modifications, and we'll go from there. Alright, so the positives about this bike: it fits me, and it fits me well. I'm 6'3", about 225 pounds, and this bike fits me perfectly. Yeah, I can handle the bigger bikes. I've spent time on my buddy's LT for a couple months, and then my girlfriend's parents, they both have 1200 GSs, but this one is made for me, I promise you. It's very comfortable to ride. I've done several 500-600 mile days on it. With the exception of the seat, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So this bike is very comfortable to ride. It's just the right riding position, straight upright, feet beneath you. It's really comfortable. It's powerful, believe it or not. So this is actually the 650, but as you can see, I've got some custom stickers here, 798 GSA. This is the 650, but it does have the 2-cylinder 800 in it. The downside of that is that you only get one disc on the front, but I promise you it still has plenty of stopping power. And then of course it's tuned down a little bit, but for this bike to be yeah, I'm kind of rough on it. I'm not very conservative with it, but it runs, it starts just like the day I got it. It is beautiful. Still just as quiet as the day I got it. Like I said, when I got it, it had 9,000 miles on it. That was about a year and a half ago. It runs marvelously. I haven't had any work done on it, with the exception of I got the valve cover gasket changed because I was getting my clearance checked, and anyway, that needed to be done. So it was just, I mean, barely seeping right around here. But man, this thing is filthy. But anyway, they fixed that for me, and no problems since. I think I've got to get a steering head bearing replaced because it kind of catches in the middle a little bit, but nothing major. Corey just said that's kind of typical wear. I tell you one thing that I've really been impressed with on this bike is whenever I do go riding, I'm always with a group of bigger bikes, and even with me and 5 days worth, 6 days worth of luggage on it, it still keeps up. Yeah, they can leave me in the straightaways and all that, but when we're going through the mountains and the curves and stuff, I have no problem keeping up with the bigger bikes. The tire life on this bike is pretty decent. Obviously, you're going to get a lot more life out of the front than the back. Just put a new set on here. I'll talk about that in a minute. Tire life is good. Brakes are great. It doesn't eat the brakes up too bad. Fuel mileage is good. With all my luggage and extras on here, I'm not getting what I used to. Let me see if I can pull up my average. Of course, I am running it a lot faster than what I used to. Yeah, I can't get it up right now. But yeah, I'm still getting 50 miles to the gallon plus, which some of the bigger bikes do just as good. But you know what? For me, this thing is just right. Just a word of advice: you can run it down to where it says 0 miles till empty. We were on a trip, and I actually ran mine about 5 miles past empty, and it still had a little bit of gas in it. So as far as I'm concerned, you can trust the fuel gauge and the mileage system on this one. Yeah, it hasn't left me stranded, that's for sure. Another thing I've really got to commend the engineers on this bike is it's so easy to work on. I do all my maintenance myself. And let me show you. The oil filter is right here in the front, and the oil plug is right here. And then the filler is right there. It's really just that easy to work on. I've got to get a striker plate, a bash plate for this thing so bad, because these parts are out here in the open, and it looks like I got a little bend right there on one of my fins. But anyway, it's super easy to work on. I do all my oil changes myself, the brakes myself. So overall, this thing is just really a treat to ride. It's so smooth. It doesn't vibrate much. I mean, yeah, at 90 it vibrates a little bit, but it's such a treat to ride. So now I'm going to move on to the negatives of this bike. Alright, so the number one negative for me is the windscreen. This one that I have on here is an 18-inch C. Bailey's windscreen. And typically this is about where you want one, right? Well, that's about chest height on me. This is my view when I sit up straight. It doesn't do much for me. It actually shoots the wind right at my face. I've still yet to find the perfect solution, but I've gotten over it. You know, I'm kind of used to it, so it doesn't matter that much. The other negative about this bike is the seat. I've said before, I've threatened to get a seat. They're not exactly giveaways, but this seat to some people is comfortable, but to me it's extremely uncomfortable. Like I said, I've gotten used to it. Put 20-something thousand miles on this thing in the past year and a half, and I'm just used to it. But it's not comfortable. If you can afford another seat, I advise you to get one. But some people say this thing's comfortable. But hey, that's them. The other negative, it's not a big, deal breaker. But the fuel tank, I wish was a little bit bigger. I know the 800 GSA has a little bit bigger tank. This one's 4.5 gallons. I would love to have the bigger tank like the big GSs have. But you know what? After 200 miles, it's time to stop and stretch anyway. Like I was saying earlier, this one only has one disc on the front. It's not that big of a deal. I've never gotten a situation where I can't stop, but sometimes I do want that extra disc. And really, as far as negatives, I think that's about the only negative. Oh, with bar risers, I have a set of bar risers on there, but that's about as far as you can go. You can't get rocks risers, because if you do, excuse me, if you do, then the brake and clutch cables will be too tight when you're turning. So that's another negative, but hey, who cares? I finally got it to where it's comfortable for me to ride. Anyway, that's about the only negatives I have on this bike. I'm really pleased with it. So let's move on to the modifications since day one. So as you can see, it has a couple of more additions to it since the very first video I made. Let me just start on the front and then I'll work my way back. I've got another set of tires on here. These are Pirelli Scorpion Trail 2s. Have not had the chance to try them off-road. They're supposed to be a mild dual sport tire, but let me tell you something, they perform flawlessly on the pavement. You can get way over in curves with those, and they're cheap. I'd say $300 for a set, which isn't bad. And then as you can see, I've got a couple of extra sets of lights on here. The first thing I did was put the LED conversion kit for these, and then I got these LED lights on the sides. These were really cheap. These are $20 a pair on Amazon, and they are crazy bright. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Alright, so this is just the LED low by itself, and then when I turn the rest of them on, it gets a little brighter. There you go. So it's kind of hard to see it out here since it's bright, but these things light up the night for a long way. You can see that trailer way over there. Not the hauling trailer, but the house trailer way past my pickup truck. At night, it lights that trailer up like it's daylight. So can't exactly meet someone in traffic with these. So that's another modification. Of course, I have my Ram phone mount. I love it. I use it for my GPS too. And then I've got my $16 horn from AutoZone. It's a car horn, because all of you know that BMW doesn't make the best horns for their motorcycles. Another modification, I put some really cheap twisted throttle risers on there. I don't know what size they are, but they're not huge. But they're just enough to pull the handlebars back to me a little bit. Added some Puig crash bars. This was the cheapest option out there, but just enough to give me some protection. I think I paid like 180 bucks for these. Really, really happy with them. Fits, everything fits. My lights fit on them, and they're not really intrusive. They don't get in the way of anything, really. They work well. And then the more obvious modifications, my luggage system. I put this one on here right after I got the bike, GVV47, best investment. And then the rack on top, which is awesome for strapping some really lightweight stuff. But the thing I was really excited about is when I was able to finally get my side cases. These are GV Trekker 33s, and you can see the review for those that I'll post. Just click the little link below. And anyway, these are really, really awesome. They hold a lot of stuff. I love them, love them, love them. And then I added the flashing lights back here. They pulsate a little bit, but whenever you touch the brake handle, they really get bright. And then I added another little brake light strip up here. And that's about all the modifications that I have. So just some final selling points. This is a great bike for, I mean, I was a beginner whenever I got this thing, and you know, now this motorcycling hobby has just kind of gotten out of hand. But anyway, I use this thing every day, all the time, as much as I can. If it's hot, I use it. If it's cold, I use it. If it's raining, I'll probably take the pickup truck. But you know what? I got a rain suit for that too. So anyway, if you got any questions or comments, please leave those below. I'll do a couple of different videos on this thing. I'll do a cold start. I'll do all those kinds of things. So anyway, all right, everyone have a blessed day.